Hi there, I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Would you please come to my tea party? Today, I'll be giving you recipes to serve at your next tea party, so please come. It won't be complete without you. It's next on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Welcome, Taste Buds. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Welcome to my restaurant in Coral Gables, Senora Martinez. When was the last time you hosted or even just attended a tea party? Well, I don't mean one at a kid's table with dolls. I mean, like a real grown-up tea party. Well, stay with me and I'll give you a new appreciation of a tea party. Let's get cooking. First thing I really want to do is pour some tea for you and for me. So I have some jasmine tea, and I love to let it sit for a little bit, and I think it's probably perfect. We've let it brew for a little while. So we have to start with our cup of tea. This was my mom's, by the way. All right, so we are going to jump into one of my favorite finger sandwiches for tea, and it is a cucumber mint sandwich. So this is the way I make it at one of my places. I know it's crazy, it's a little bit of work, but I'm gonna show you how to do it. And this is how I would probably make it at home. Of course, unless my son Zach were attending, which he would always attend a tea party, and then we'd probably make it like that together. But let's start with the yummy, yummy part of this, which is the mint butter. So you take just some room temperature butter, like this one, and you put it into a food processor. Now this mint will freeze beautifully. You can keep this probably for months on end and use it little by little, bit by bit, and it's really delicious. Add a little bit of lime zest or lemon zest. Traditionally, obviously, it is lemon because you wouldn't find a lot of lime in something like this in London back in the day. But because cucumbers are green, as is mint, we went ahead and added lime instead, and it really came out delicious. So we use a nice amount of lime zest, and then we add a nice amount of lime juice. As much to taste as you like. Really important to season the butter as well if you're using unsalted butter, which I always do, and I always season the butter to get it to the level of, saline saltiness that I like. Then just some raw mint, a lot of it, that you either pick of your own like I do, or you just buy some and put that into a food processor, and then you just let it run. And you're going to basically let it go until all of this mint comes down into a nice, beautiful green butter like this one. And it's really, really delicious. By the way, I got all this stuff today from our friends at Milam's Markets with 6 SoFlo locations. They want me to remind you that if you order online for the first time, you'll get $15 off your first delivery. That's $15 off your first delivery. Visit them online at milamsmarkets.com. Milam's Markets, Miami's family grocer since 1984. Experience the difference. All right, so let's jump over here. Take whatever bread you like. You can get really thin bread at Milam's. They actually sell something called pan de miga, which is like we make miga sandwiches in Argentina, which are very thin, or this is just regular white bread. Totally up to you. So I'm gonna smudge a nice amount of minty butter onto my bread like so. And that will allow the cucumber to stick. So you have a couple choices here, right? Let me show you the fancy one because the other one is kind of obvious. You take, and I love using English cucumbers for this, and go ahead and take the first peel off. You can use the second peeling. Make sure they're really nice, long, even peels like so, okay? And then you can cut this in about half. Let's get rid of the top if it's not even, and the bottom if it's not even. And go ahead and just roll up like this. Now, I didn't add any salt to it because it will make the cucumbers sweat. and it will make it very soggy. So you don't want to add any seasoning to it. And then you basically just put it onto a skewer, and you can wait until you make the cucumber sandwiches. So let's take a couple of these off, and you place them into the butter like so. I made these wider with the whole slice, and all you have to do with this one, if I can find my knife, which I have no idea where it went. There it is. Sorry, everything is green. I can't see anything. Cut them in half and place them directly onto the bread. And once you're done placing your little rolled up cucumber on your bread, that is when you take a little bit, a sprinkle of some crunchy Maldon salt, and there you have it, a minty, delicious cucumber sandwich to begin our tea party with our lovely tea. Come right back. I've got more for your tea party for any age here on SoFlo Taste.
Come back to the Goya Kitchen, Chef Michelle and the food. This is SoFlo Taste.
For more information on today's show or to see a recent SoFlo Taste episode, please go to our website, SoFloShows.com. There you can find everything SoFlo Taste. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein, and welcome back to my tea party. Tea parties originated in the 17th century England. Then in 1773, tea parties took on a whole new meaning when shiploads of tea was tossed into Boston Harbor. But that's another story. Let's get back to our tea party. Speaking of history, I am going to teach you how to make Coronation Chicken, which is created for the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II. So let's jump into it. It is basically a chicken salad, but it's not like any chicken salad I've had. We start out with some pulled chicken from a whole chicken, and that gets nice and cold. Then you add in the mayonnaise first, whatever your favorite mayonnaise might be, some mango chutney, of course curry. They eat so much delicious curry in England. Some cinnamon, golden raisins, and a little bit of salt. Let's mix this together. Now, while I mix this, I was just thinking about those cucumber sandwiches that I made you earlier. If you're not really into the sandwiches, but you like the idea of the butter, someone back here was just asking me what I would do with the butter. Well, how about some roasted lamb with some mint butter melting all over it? Absolutely delicious. How about a sauteed piece of grouper or whatever local snapper you can find with a little bit of that mint butter? That would be delicious. I can think of so many yummy things to eat with that mint butter. So if you didn't like my cucumber sandwich, by the way, I stole one. It was darn good. I love cucumber sandwiches. Mommy used to make them for us all the time. But that mint butter can really take you to some really fun places. All right, so this Coronation Chicken looks like it's pretty well mixed. The chef of Senora Martinez happens to be English. He's hiding right now because I'm doing my tea party, and I'm sure he doesn't think that this is very English, but I love it, so I don't really care. All right, so let's do what he does. He makes Coronation Chicken, and he puts it in lettuce leaves, which is a lot lighter than putting it on bread. So why don't we do a few of each? Let's fill some very pretty gem lettuce leaves with some of this chicken salad. It smells delish, by the way. And then, what do you guys think? Should I make an open face sandwich or a closed sandwich?
Open.
Open. Okay, open. Got it. So we'll do some lettuce, and now let's make an open face Coronation chicken. All right. While I do this, why don't you guys take a break, because you're going to want a little room in your kitchen for the next one. I'm going to teach you how to make traditional scones. So come right back for one more recipe. I am so happy you're watching SoFlo Taste on the Road from Coral Gables, presented by Goya. Mwah. See you in a minute. SoFlo Taste will return right after this.
It's a Milam's Markets Minute. Here's Melinda Harper.
Christy, one of my favorite things in a grocery store are free things, but probably not what other people are thinking, what you're thinking out there. Gluten-free items.
Right, gluten-free. So we have gluten-free basically every aisle of the store, every department. And we went ahead and put a little selection of what we have here.
This is a lot, right?
Yes.
And there's much more.
A delicious one is this local brand, Almaty.
Okay.
They make delicious little cookies and cakes full of flavor. And then, of course, you have pasta, bread, crackers. So to make it easier, on all the tags around of our store, we put little gluten-free logos on them. So you can just look for the blue gluten-free, and then you know that you don't have to search the package for the logo.
Back in the day, people would think, oh, gluten-free, not so good, but it is delicious, and it's good for you. Christy, this is an impressive selection of gluten-free items.
Well, if you're looking for a high quality, large selection of gluten-free items, you can stop by one of our 6 stores in South Florida or order online at milamsmarkets.com.
Come on into the store. The selection is amazing.
Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. I'm here in the kitchen of my Senora Martinez restaurant in Coral Gables. It was named after me. It's my married name. Come have lunch or dinner every day except Mondays or Tuesdays. And by the way, fried chicken night Wednesdays. Now back to another treat for our tea party. So I love scones, but I like the English scones, you know, the little round, delicious scones that don't have a huge amount of sweetness, but they go so well with a touch of whipped cream and jam. Oh, so good. I love tea parties. All right, so I thought I'd teach you a more traditional scone than the ones we see here. We have like the more triangular, larger scones here, but you see smaller, somewhat more, I guess, dry and delicate ones in England. All right, we're gonna start out with all-purpose flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt. Let's go ahead and combine that together. Then add to it little tiny cubes of butter and work that together so that it becomes kind of sandy, if you know what I mean. That kind of sandy texture from working the butter into the flour. You want to go kind of quickly. You don't want the warmth of your hands to melt or soften that butter at all. But you do want it to evenly distribute the flour and butter together. Now, these have currants in them. You see those little tiny beauties next to me? That is a currant. It is probably about the third of a size of a raisin. They're really tiny and chewy and yummy. Not too sweet either. And I love them in scones. All right, I think that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and mix up the wet ingredients. So we've got buttermilk in some eggs. Let's go ahead and mix that together. And add that to our dry mixture. Add the currants to it and combine. Now you don't really want to be too vigorous with this. You want to be somewhat gentle in the mixing. You don't want to over mix it. You don't want your scones to get tough. Now, if I were home, I would probably mix these, I think, with my hands. I just really like to feel the dough. But because I'm here at the restaurant and with all of you, I've worn gloves. It also keeps things a little cleaner. So let's go ahead and now place this down on our table to combine it even better. And bring it together. If you feel that it's a little dry, you can add a little bit more of the buttermilk. I haven't added all of it. I have left a tablespoon of it inside of the measuring container. But to me, once they just come together, they're right. And this is coming together pretty nicely. So like I said, if it feels like it needs a little touch more buttermilk, you can add it without a problem, but I wouldn't go more than about a half of a tablespoon to a tablespoon at a time when you add it in. But I'm very happy with where I am right now. Everything is now sticking to the dough and now it's becoming one. So once it does, try to bring your dough all together. Pat it down just a touch. I'm going to take off my gloves for this. You're going to want to take a rolling pin and delicately flatten it out just so that it's nice and either rounded or squared. It's up to you, but we are only going to go about an inch from the bottom. You want them to be a little bit tall, about like so. I have my little biscuit cutter inside of a little bit of flour. Dip in. Now this is fluted. It's up to you whether you want a fluted cutter or a straight cutter, but this is how the scones turn out. You don't have to butter your sheet or anything. We have a little piece of parchment paper so that there's no sticking. And then if you want, you can coat it with a little touch of a brush of heavy cream, or you can leave it natural. Totally up to you. I'm gonna go ahead and cover up this pan and wait for these to bake. Come right back to SoFlo Taste here on Local 10, the local station. Let's see how these beauties come out and how we're gonna fill them. SoFloShows.com is a great place to celebrate the food of South Florida. It's also the place to ask me a question or make a comment, especially a good comment. Again, SoFloShows.com. Stay tuned to SoFlo Taste. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone, to SoFlo Taste, and most importantly, my tea party. So our scones have been baked. Look how beautiful they are. They're beautifully crisp. Let's go ahead and cut into one. So, guys, I'm just warning you, I don't know how much I'm going to talk after this, because once I taste a scone, there's no going back. So I love to open them up, place a little bit of whipped cream on one side, a little bit of jam or marmalade or jelly on the other, and then make yourself a gorgeous scone sandwich. Can I? Thank you. That's good. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy weekend to spend time with little me. And I hope watching me every week is making you a better home cook. So taste buds, have a great week and enjoy your tea party. And remember to lift the pinky, just like so. Goodbye and good taste. Time to party.